Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller. Spring has sprung, okay? It is officially April, so I feel like we're in spring, right? Like maybe the first day of spring hasn't happened. Maybe it has actually, technically, I don't know. But I feel like when it hits April, it's on. April showers, bring Mayflowers, we're blooming. It's gotta be. I am so tired of winter. And this past weekend, oh my gosh, we got so much rain. And actually during the week, like I was very sad with the forecast. I was looking at like my UV app. I was looking at the weather app, and it all was like overcast, rain, thunderstorms. And last night we actually had like a tornado warning, and I'm like, ooh, or is it warning or watch? I think it was just a tornado warning. One is worse than the other. And we were getting ready to like settle in on the couch, ready to watch a little movie. And on Netflix, they have Twister, the one that happened in Joplin, Missouri, on Netflix. And Garrett's like, do you want to watch this? Absolutely not. I do not want to watch the Twister movie during Twister season in Missouri. Absolutely not. Heck no. In fact, this is so crazy. But my stepdad's one of his very best childhood friends, Uncle Keith, he actually was in the Joplin Twister, and their house got ripped apart, and he was like, had his children and they were taking cover. I want to say it was in the bathtub, but I remember my mom telling me that, like, oh my gosh, like they've lost their home, all of these things. Such a scary tornadoes. Like luckily the part that I live in, Missouri, is not like Tornado Alley, but it is always, it's apprehensible. It's scary. Like a tornado, wild wind, like any sort of natural disaster, it's petrifying, right? And my sister Ashley lives in Alabama, and they had some tornadoes, I want to say like 2 weeks ago. Their home was fine, but like other places were like not as good. And honestly, like high winds, anything that is uncontrollable, it's so hard to just have the faith like in God that everything is going to be okay. And it's scary. It is so scary. And even if something does like happen where, you know, your home does, you know, get ripped up by a tornado or a tsunami. Oh my gosh. Just like any natural disaster, your house catches on fire. Like there's a ton of extremities, and it's petrifying. It is so scary. And Garrett and I also were out this weekend, you know, a little staycation trip. May is honestly, it's looking so busy for us. Like I look at May and I just think, okay, we have graduations, we have birthdays, we have Mother's Day, you know, celebrating my mom and Garrett's mom, and with my mom living in Iowa and then trying to split the time. But that's also, Mother's Day is usually like our weekend that we share. So Garrett's birthday is on the 13th, mine is on the 8th. And so like usually we try to do something that weekend. Mother's Day is on that weekend. So it's like one thing after another. We're just trying to like figure it all out. And then this week we were like, this seems like the only time we're able to get away, hang out. So we took a little staycation, and it was so nice. It was so nice to just like get away from the house, even though I love our home. I love all the updates and the decluttering that I have been doing. And listen, I am just about caught up with Southern Charm and Summer House. I gave up on watching the Winter House. I think there's only 3 seasons of Winter House, but it really wasn't vibing. Like I was like, okay, like we got to get through this so then I can watch Summer House or I can watch Southern Charm. And I am on, I believe it's the last season of Summer House, and Craig Conover's home is immaculate. The way I wish my iPad, because I watch my Peacock, my Bravo, my YouTube vlogs, whatever. Like I'm always on my iPad. I'm definitely an iPad kid. I gravitate to the iPad in comparison to like the TV. And that's normally because like if I'm running around doing things like laundry, cleaning the bathroom, like my iPad is portable. So I'm able to like move it in comparison to the TV is only in the living room. So I have to watch it in the living room. Right. Okay. So I was watching Southern Charm and I went to screenshot so bad. You can't screenshot on Netflix. Okay. It's or Peacock. You can't any of the streaming, right? Like it's so annoying. And I don't know how people like screen record for like TikTok or like any sort of reel because it like just, it's a black screen. And it's so annoying because I look at so many beautiful aspects of his home. I'm like, this is a Pinterest board. Then I look stupid. I'm trying to like get my phone to take a photo of my iPad and it's got a glare on it. So annoying. But I wish there was a way to like screen save because it's going on my vision board. I love his pool. I love his hot tub. I love the chairs and the entertainment aspect. Like I'm so jealous of Craig. Okay. Like it's beautiful. His landscaping, all of the elements that he has just put forth into his home. I'm insanely jealous. Okay. I truly believe that like Southern Living needs to do like a spread on his house so that I can see it. But also like, 2 seasons ago, Madison LaCroix was having a birthday. It was a joint birthday party with her and Vanita, and it was beautiful as well. Like so many aspects. Me personally, my birthday's coming up. I'm gonna turn the big 26. No, 27. Oh my gosh. 27, big 27. Garrett's turning 30, so it's definitely easier to like get his age right. Like me, I'm still 23 in my head. But yeah, so I have a birthday party coming up, so I'm trying to plan for the birthday party and like what aspects I'm going to do. And since I'm turning 27, I was thinking 27 dresses. Very cute, right? I'm also born in May, in my opinion, the best month to be born in because it's spring, it's beautiful. You're still in school. So you get to like, when I was a kid, right? Like you get to celebrate with your childhood friends. Like you're not out for summer, but it's also not cold and school didn't start. Like May, honestly, the most iconic birth month for, anyone. So it's beautiful. It's lovely. 27. It's going to be fun. Going to be a blast. I feel like in years past, I've counted it down. This year, it's just like, oh, it's already coming up again. Like you're kidding me. I'm excited. I'm excited to host people at my home. 27 dresses. Like I'm thinking sundress theme, just like very much a dress that you love, but don't always get to wear out. That's kind of like the theme of 27 dresses. If you've never watched that movie, it is so fun, so cute. It's about a woman who's always a bridesmaid, but never a bride, right? A little love story. Super cute. Need a refresh, but I guess I've just had the mindset that we're going to be hosting people. So I have been like even more than normal, clearing everything out, trying to just like make way for this exciting thing. Like I'm really excited to, one, it's springtime. I love spring. I love decluttering. I love trying to make my house a home and just updating and elevating so many aspects of it, right? Craig's home, the dream. Can't wait until my home looks very similar, if not better. And also like just planting things and being outside, and the growth mindset is so strong right now. Like I really want to just start having the environment that I've been looking for, right? The thing that I crave. I talked about it last week about, my Pinterest board and wanting to just elevate my entire life. So bringing it on to this week as well, with all of the storms, I was petrified, guys, that my hydrangeas would get beat the heck up. Okay. Garrett and I took all Sunday to do some landscaping. So in the front part of our home, we have like a little flower patch. I really need to come up with a name of it, a little butterfly garden, if you will. But it's like cut off from the regular yard by our sidewalk, right? It's right up to our house. The sidewalk cuts it through. So we have my butterfly garden, and then on the other side, we just had grass. Well, it was really hard to mow the grass there because it was like a patch, and it's kind of like a sharp turn, and then you have the house, right? Like you don't want to poke a hole in. We have like vinyl siding, and if you've ever mowed a lawn, tossed a rock or anything, like you can definitely damage vinyl, right? So we didn't want to do that. And there's always been like a patch of grass that kind of grew a little taller and never got like cut by the lawnmower. And I was thinking, what the heck can I put here? Because it's part sun, but it gets more of like an afternoon sun than a morning sun. But then the butterfly garden doesn't hardly get any sun. It's mostly shade. So I'm trying to figure out if it would be okay to put my hydrangeas there. And I did end up planting 3 hydrangeas in the like grass part. So Garrett had took a shovel, and he dug like 3 or 4 inches down, removed the grass, because in the backyard we've had this patch that has not grown from the dogs just like running and chasing the balls, and like from the concrete, like there's a bit of gravel there, and it's just not like a super great environment to grow grass. And we haven't been for the last 3 years, even though we have spent so much money on laying down straw and seed and more straw and more seed and like this foam matting that it's so messy. So we literally took sod from our yard that has been growing for the last couple of years, picked that up and moved it to the backyard in this like patch area. And then we laid down weed matting. And in the past, I have not done weed matting, and it has bit me in the butt. So my mindset was like, oh, I'll just weed it, right? And my problem with the zinnias is I would plant my zinnias and then I'd have grass growing in between the zinnias, but I couldn't really like pull out the grass because, you know, sometimes you forget to weed. The grass gets a bit big. The roots intermingle between the zinnia plant and the grass roots. And it's really ugly. It is so ugly, and I hated it. And so this year I laid down weed mat. And when I planted in the butterfly garden, which I'm kind of kicking myself because I should have bought all my plants before I planted in the butterfly garden, because now I have to pull out the vibranium plants that I put there because apparently those are full sun. That was my bad for not looking it up. I should have looked it up. You have to plant plants that are good in the setting you're wanting to put them in the ground at, right? Like we all know this. Not everything is going to be a dandelion where it can grow up through the cracks. It goes back to that tick-tock sound. It's like, concrete, you know, like, you know the sound, right? It's like the Garden of Eden. It's like, oh, the sun is too strong. And then it's like a dandelion. It's like, oh yeah, heck yeah, concrete, you know? Anyways, so if you buy a plant from like a nursery or Lowe's, it's not going to have like the same tenacity of like a dandelion that's going to grow anywhere. You have to make sure that the soil is suitable, that it's not getting blasted from the sun, but it is getting enough sun. It's a whole thing. So I messed up a bit. I need to pull those out and put them on the side of the house because we did our west side of the house, which in my opinion is the hardest side to plant anything because it's full sun. And most of the beautiful plants that I want to buy, it's like part shade, morning sun. Well, guess what? The east side of the house, I never even use. Like I never go on that side. I don't know why I don't go on this side. There's really nothing going on there. I feel like the west side of our house is a bit bigger. That's where my garden patch is. That is, you know, it just seems more like the side yard that we're at. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Don't get me wrong. I want to utilize every single aspect of our yard, but I don't know what I'm going to do because we're kind of on a hill. Like we're perched up at the top, and then like the front is pretty the front is pretty level, but on the sides it like kind of rolls down to a slope, and then in the back there's like a bigger like ditch kind of vibe, where we have a stream literally run through. So it's not a perfect home. Okay. And that's where I get kind of in this mess where I'm like, this is not the place that we're going to stay forever. However, the time that we spend here, I want it to be beautiful. I want to love my space. I want to be able to host. I want to be able to go outside and enjoy it. But it's like, dang, we're going to invest so much time, money, energy picking up sticks. I literally picked up sticks for an hour and a half on Sunday, and it was a colder day. Like the wind was whipping. I wasn't even getting like a good sun because I had a sweatshirt on. I was cold. The ground is cold. Anyways, we cleared out all of the sod from the front. We laid down some weed mat so that weeds would not poke through. We laid down weed mat on the other side, the west side of our house, which 2 years ago we just laid some, what's it called? Wood chips. Laid wood chips on the side. Grass grew up in it, but it was a good start. Like it was a good start, but I think the weed mat is really going to be game changing so that no little weeds poke out, especially because I do like going out and gardening. I like watering the plants. I like being outside. However, weeding for extensive periods of time is not fun. And if I have a weed mat out there, it's going to do way better. So I'm hopeful for that. But we literally spent all Sunday laying down weed mat, removing sod, putting more wood chips. We bought 15 bags of wood chips. They're all covered. Everything looks good. I didn't plant the 3 in the butterfly garden of our hydrangeas, and I still have 2 bushes and kind of like a tallish tree on the west side, because we had to break it up and I was getting kind of hungry. So we stopped, and we're moving that to tomorrow actually. So it's going to be good. It's going to be great. I will say that plants are expensive and you don't realize it until they're all totaling up and you're like, oh, I thought this $20 bush was affordable, but when you have 50 of them, not as affordable. So, but it's coming together. I'm really excited. I did break my umbrella, so that's back on the buy list. And, you know, I'm ready to spend some time outside. All of this rain is really making me mad. I am so annoyed. I've had to stay in all week, and, you know, I was productive in so many aspects. I rearranged all of our cabinets and decluttered a little bit more. I feel like with April, every single month, it's like a new time to just like take a look at the things. So I went through all of our glass cabinets. I bought these like blown glass water glasses last week. So I cleared out, there's a couple wine glasses that we had gotten as you do a tasting, like a wine tasting, and then they give you a wine glass. Yes, it's like nice because you feel like as a consumer, you're getting something for free, but I would rather them discount the price. I do not want a wine glass from this like wine company, right? Took a little drink of my coffee. I would prefer to have a discounted price, and we have had so many wine glasses, right? Like Herman, Missouri is fairly close to us. We go there probably once a year, buy some wine. And like I've had a whole set, but I don't want a set of a branded wine glass from a wine tasting that we did. So, and they also update the designs where it's like slightly different. So donated some of those glasses. I filled up our cabinet. I'm so happy. The cabinet has now like my cake display thing. I don't know what you would call it. It has the wooden base and the glass top. Originally this was like in my cabinet up top, and I never used it. Probably use it like twice a year. but displaying it adds like more to it. Like if I display it, it's also like visually appealing. I also moved like 2 coffee table books from my office into that glass cabinet, moved champagne glasses, moved these tiny little teacups that I thrifted last year. So it's all coming together. I'm like slowly moving the things and making it visually appealing, because I have found that when I open up a cabinet and it is so chock full and cluttered, it's ugly. Oh my gosh, it's so ugly. Yeah, I might have all of these things, but that's not what I want. Like I want a select few things that I can put in and enjoy and like, instead of like, oh my gosh, like I am so overwhelmed by the amount of glasses that we have or stuff that we don't even use. And the things that I want to use, I want to put them in like my view. They say if you're like trying to start a habit, to make things so accessible. I have my walking pad not underneath my desk anymore, but I've pulled it out to the side of my desk. Even though my desk is a walking desk where I can lift it, I now just like push the button to make it rise, and I'm on the side of it. So the actual walking pad is not under the desk, because I found that if it was under my desk, I would have to pull it out from my desk just a little bit to begin walking on it. In comparison, if it's already set up, I don't have to move anything. I just press a button. It makes it easier. However, my walking pad has been squeaking, and after a little bit, like 20 minutes, it overheats and will suddenly stop. That is so spooky when it stops, because I feel like I'm going to fall. It gives you no warning. It's just like, oop, we've stopped, right? So that's one way I've pulled it out. And take my kitchen, like my cake platter, it's on the top shelf. I don't even look up to see it, but if I have it in the display case, maybe I'll utilize it more because it's out there. But I had these little jars that I bought probably in 2019 for ginger shots or like some sort of wellness shot. They have been stored in a little box, and like I open up my cabinet every morning to make my coffee, but the box is there and it's storing these jars, but it's like I forgot they were in there. So I pulled all the jars out. I put them in my my pantry with the rest of my empty jars. So when I open it, I'm like reminded, oh, I could make ginger shots. And this past week I went to what is it called? It's like this little vegan restaurant, or not a restaurant, not a bistro, just kind of like a little food joint, and Enjoy. It's called Enjoy. It's in Leawood, Kansas. And I went with one of my friends. It was super fun. I had tennis lessons right after, so I didn't want to eat like a huge meal. We were kind of meeting a bit early. We met at like 5 p.m. And so I, not 5, it was like, I don't know what time it was. It was 6. Anyways, so I got a juice. They had like all of these juice containers, glass jars, beautiful, stunning, immaculate, aesthetic, and all these wellness shots. And as I like was buying my juice, I was like, I make grapefruit juice every single day, or at least I batch it for a couple days, cut open all my grapefruit, juice it, and then I use that with my colostrum every single day. I'm like, oh, I could probably juice some celery. I could probably juice some carrot, or cucumber or turmeric. Like, I don't know. There was like a whole bit of them. And I was just thinking to myself, that's something on my vision board. That's something that I want to do. And it's out of sight, out of mind. I forgot that I had these juice containers, and pulling them out makes them more accessible. So it's more front of mind. And every time I pull out my drawer, I'm reminded, oh, we have these jars. We can fill these jars. I have a whole bunch of knobs of ginger right now, not rotting, but definitely they're starting to take root, right? Like they're sending off little nodules. They need to be used. So it's the whole like reorganizing and purging some items. It really just opens up your eyes on what do you have? What have you already purchased? Because so many times at the juice shop at Enjoy. I thought to myself, oh my gosh, these jars are so cute. And for a split second, I thought, oh, like I could buy some jars. I could make some juice at home. But I've been saving jars. I've been saving sauce jars. I've been saving, there's pickle jars. I have a bunch of jars, oyster juice jars. Those jars are actually my top favorite. That's what I store my grapefruit juice in every morning. So I'm like, I have all of these jars, plus the jar that I bought, like the juice that I bought. I definitely took that jar home, washed it, peeled off the sticker, and put it in my jars. Then I also had these shot jars, and I'm like, God, I already have it. Like I already have it, and I don't have to buy out anything new. There's so many things in our own environments that we're like, oh, I wish we could do that. I wish we had that. You literally can start doing that. You can start making juice jars. So bringing the awareness, just opening it up in your space, like it can completely change your entire like perspective on if you want to start a habit, if you want to do something you've never done before, having those things in place. You're like, oh, like that's what I needed. I just needed it to be open and aware, like right next to my coffee. Because every morning I make a latte for Garrett and I have an espresso machine. An espresso machine has a couple parts, right? Like I have my puck, I have my little funnel that I put on, I have my tamper, I have my little, what's it called? It like whisk. It's a metal whisk, but it helps like make it level and even. I have all of those things and they need storage. So I'll put them in my cabinet, and right next to it, I put my vitamins. Then I've started to do, I forget what this salt is called, but it's a specific salt that I put, I don't know what, Garrett got it off Amazon. It was recommended by a podcaster. Actually, it was kind of funny. Garrett bought it and I had it in my Amazon cart to purchase. And I was like, oh, Garrett already bought it. So, but yeah, I put that salt next to it so I can get some electrolytes in the morning, and it's habit stacking. It's putting one thing, next to the other things that you're already doing. So then it's easier to pick up that habit. Same with my treadmill on the side of my desk. Same with like my yoga mat or weights, or having my books next to my bedstand next to my earplugs. And it's creating these little mini routines and habits that make you feel good. So I know that picking up clutter or rearranging might seem like so silly, but continuously improving or continuously editing your environment can be so impactful to just like have that quarter twist, is what Bob Goff calls it, where you just turn it slightly, you shift your life, you shift your perspective in a way that is going to be absolutely life-changing after time goes on. And it's because of like wine has to be quarter turned, so that the tannins are constantly rotating in the wine. And same goes for your life. You can continually be twisting ever so slightly, adjusting. And with a twist, like you think of a knob, right? Like when you're trying to find, well, I haven't done this in so long, but a radio station, like growing up in the vehicle, like you would have to tune the vehicle to pick up the radio station. So you were adjusting it until your favorite song came through the radio, right? So continuously like just changing and updating. And maybe it's the springtime weather, maybe it's all the things, but I'm feeling really upbeat. I took a whole nother load of clothes and duplicate plastic things. So if I have something that's already like glassware that I can utilize instead of the plastic, I've been donating it. Like just, it's not something I use. We have this huge lettuce. It's a plastic lettuce dryer. So I remember Garrett and I searching for this thing. I paid like $27 for it, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it was like an inconvenience because I couldn't find one. Like seriously, we looked all over multiple stores, finally found one. And at the time I wasn't even thinking about it. Like it's a nice, it was lime green. So it didn't really like match my, like kitchen aesthetic, but I was like, okay, this is fine. Like it works. Come to find out, we never use it. Okay. I love the Tailored Farms. What is it? It's the poppy seed, and it has cranberries in it and like the little papetas. So good. Delicious. My number one top fave. Okay. We hardly ever cut lettuce and chop it up and have to wash it. Like the bags are already, I don't know. So that was something that I have just been having in my bottom drawer, taking up real estate in my kitchen. And it's also like, it's a microplastic, right? Like I know that I'm using the Tailored Farms, like the produce is in a plastic bag, right? Single use plastics, not good. I know. However, this is something like the little lettuce washer thing, something I wasn't utilizing. Something that I don't know why every single time in my brain when I have hot water and I'm putting something plastic in the hot water, I'm like, oh, plastic is just leaching out of it into the water. Like I want to transition over to everything being glass or ceramic or stainless steel or something that is like not plastic based. Don't get me wrong, plastic does have its place, but I just want to eliminate in the areas that like I don't need it. I don't need this freaking lettuce dryer. So I donated that, opened up so much space in my bottom drawer. It's unreal. And also I'm trying to remind Garrett, like if things start to disappear, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. That's gone. It must have broke. It must have done this, because I really want the Caraway, like little glass container sets. Ooh, so good. They have a glass top lid as well. The glass containers we have a plastic lid. Not too happy. I don't know. It's just like, you don't know any better until you know better, and then you do better, right? Like just slowly starting to eliminate things out of my daily routine that I no longer use, no longer utilize, or if I think that it's, harmful and I don't want it anymore, right? So cleared all that out, feeling really good. My cabinet is looking so cute. So cute. Honestly, like I don't like styling things with clutter, right? Cottage clutter, not my vibe. I love clean, elegant, classy, all of those things. And but I look at this cabinet, I'm like, it can be styled in so many ways. And I look around and I go through my closet and I go through this and I go through that. I'm like, oh, I forgot I had this. Like, I can use this to like decorate with. So just going through everything, making sure it's all nice. And then I can replace it with better. So a couple, 2-3 weeks ago, I went through my closet. I went through all my old notebooks. And if it was a good notebook, I used like a couple pages in it and then kind of forgot about it. I cleanly cut those papers out. I donated a whole bunch of notebooks, right? And again, like that itch started coming up. It's the first of the month, right? Like this is the first Monday of April. So exciting. I just think to myself, oh, like I want a new notebook, right? And I went to Target and I thought to myself, all of these notebooks are so ugly. Plus, I don't want to just buy something to have and then in a year I'm annoyed with it. I have to cut pages out and I donate it again, right? Like that's not a good use of resources. If I'm using something, I want to utilize it to its entirety. So I went over to the Moleskine. Is that how you say it? Moleskine? I don't know. Went to those notebooks. Okay. Those notebooks are wrapped. You can't open them, and they are like $25. Which is a lot for a notebook. I love an $11 notebook. Okay. Something that I can use. My podcast notebook. That I write my notes down. It was an $11 one from Target. Love it. I do utilize my podcast notebooks to entirety, but it's like my checklist, my journal. Sometimes I don't use those to the entirety. Like this past January when I was in Hawaii, I had this really cute notebook. It was like, an accordion style, maybe is what you call it. Like it flipped up the top. It didn't flip to the side. And I was writing like my to-do list in it. It was very nice. Well, it got wet, so I had to throw it away, but I almost used that to entirety. But journaling is so hard, so difficult. I have to sit down and think, okay, I'm going to journal for the day. I have to like pull out the things. And I always want a new notebook. So I invested in moleskin, which I wasn't sure if it was leather or what it was. It's apparently cotton that is like pressed very tightly. Guys, when I opened up the packaging, it was so soft. So soft. I felt like my hands were dirty. It's like this cute little mint. Very, very elegant, very cute. But instead of having like all of these notebooks that I like don't really care about that much, like I'm not spending that much time with them, like I need to do a better job of like being committed, journaling in the journal. I also want to feel good about like a clean journal always feels good. So I upgraded to this moleskin journal. It's very cute. And I wrote in it already. I'm going to write in it once a week. Manageable expectations is best, is key, is the things that you want. So I'm going to be, writing in that ever so often. Not daily. I think managing expectations is the best thing that you can do for yourself when you are trying to start a new goal, like, or a new habit. It's like, all right, you and I both know we are not going to do this every single day. We need to break it down a bit, tie it with some other part of your routine and just make it digestible. Bite-sized pieces, something that you can say, oh yeah, take a little bit of that here, take a little bit of that there. Just like my cell phone usage. It's been 3 or 4 weeks with JOMO. My phone time has been reduced drastically. I feel like my weeks have felt so long. I felt like I've accomplished so much and just like slowly getting into a routine. I think back to like my childhood and I think about like what my parents did and what we talked about and what, like the things that we did in the evenings or with our days. And it's seriously so mind-boggling. Like we weren't constantly entertained. And I was sitting in a board meeting this past week and we're discussing some of our events, right? Like I'm on the board and also a promotions committee. So for promotions for the small town businesses, right? And getting people downtown. So on the board, we were discussing a Halloween event. Halloween is so difficult in our town because there's a lot of trunk or treats, and there's a huge trunk or treat that is put on by one of the local businesses for kids. It's a gymnastics, so it's like really great, amazing. So we have been brainstorming. I've been on this committee for the last 3 or 4 years. That sounds insane. I can't believe I've been on it that long, but discussing like alternatives, and we're, thinking, okay, we can, or maybe what the heck, maybe it wasn't a Halloween event. I don't know. But the point of it was during the discussion, this was actually our 4th of July event, not our October event. Sorry. We're also brainstorming ideas for our October event, but for our July event, we have this, it's like a bicycle race, kind of tricycle, like motorized vehicles. It's a patriotic parade for kids. So it goes around the farmers market. And when we were also discussing, like, maybe we do a bounce house too. So we did a bounce house last year. The only struggle is, so we have the farmers market going, and then we have the parade going, and then we also have a bounce house. We need volunteers for each of those areas. Like a bounce house does need like someone manning it, making sure the 8-year-old is not like bouncing the 4-year-old, to like, just checking over things like anything. We as a nonprofit, we take some liability, and with that, we need to make sure that we're supervising these events. So it was discussed, like, do we have a bounce house again? Last year we had one, and it was hectic. It was crazy. And the discussion kind of took a turn where we were talking about having so much entertainment for kids. When it's an event and you're like, okay, we have a balloon maker and we have candy over here, and then you can paint your face, and then we have a bounce house and hopscotch, and then over here's cornhole. Like, that can be very overwhelming. And also, as a parent, if you're like walking around with your kid and your kid is constantly needing to be doing things, instead of like the kid watching the parade or participating in the parade and then maybe walking around the farmer's market and being a human in society, right? Like it just was. And so we had some discussion on like, do kids need to be entertained constantly? And I was like, me as an adult, not as a child, not having children, but thinking, oh, me as an adult, like, do I need to be constantly entertained all the time? Kinda. We have podcasts, we have Spotify, we have iPads, like I talked about tuning the dial on public radio. I don't do that anymore. Everything is so curated to me, and I love the curation, and I would never not want to be curated. I never would not want to have my Spotify playlist picked for me, or the podcast episodes I listen to, or the vlogs that I'm watching, or used to, you watch TV and whatever was on the cable channels that you got, that's what you watched. And you didn't get to pick if it was like Wizards of Waverly Place or if Johnny Test was on. Like, I remember going through the channels, surfing the channels, trying to find which episode or which show that I wanted to watch, and they were never in order. Maybe they were in order week to week, but it was like, okay, if you want to watch something, it came on at 6 p.m., you would want to like watch it. And then they like had where you could record it and then you could watch it and you could fast forward. Like it's become so curated. And in the past, it was like, okay, this is what is available. You can either watch it or you can do something else, or maybe nothing's on. Maybe I think there used to be a break or something where it'd be like, oh, there's nothing on TV. You had to go outside. And so for me, I'm like, do I as a person need to be constantly entertained all the time? Do I need to be doing all these things? Or can I be bored for a sec? Can I just like sit there and maybe craft or maybe do a hobby? Because those are still forms of entertainment, but it's not served to you on a platter. Where I feel like my phone and social media, it's like so curated, it's addicting. It's whatever you want. It's like one thing after another. And if I don't have my phone, if I have those things blocked, right? Kind of like when there's nothing on TV, like you went outside. Well, if there's nothing on my phone, if it's blocked during certain times on Saturday, like I'm going to go outside. I am going to clean my house. I'm going to take a look at my pantry. I'm going to read a book. Like I have so many books that I want to read, or so many hobbies, or Pinterest is one of the things that is open on my phone, so I can go on Pinterest at any time. I'll look at Pinterest and I'll think, okay, like some of these boards I have saved, what can I do today out of one of these boards? Maybe it's rearranging something. Maybe it's picking up dang sticks in the backyard. I cut down like a bunch of saplings this past Sunday, and the saplings were like just little shoots. I got a couple big trees in the yard, and this was an area that was honestly like unusable when we first moved in, and we've slowly just been like working on it, improving it. So then, we can have access to more of our yard. I planted my lilac bushes over there. Like I have a vision, I have a dream for it, but I have to pick up sticks. I have to cut down little shoots. And guess what? Some of those shoots were locust trees. Do you know what a locust tree is? Locust trees has freaking thorns all up and down it. They are so spiky, so horrible. But if you let them get bigger, oh my gosh, they're such a pain to cut down with like an actual chainsaw. Ridiculous. So it's like, all right, maybe it is good that I'm bored and go outside and pick up some dang sticks. And sometimes we're not even thinking about that we're being entertained all the time. It's just like part of our routine. And I'm trying to disrupt my routine. I'm trying to get it to a place where I'm happy with it. And it is part of my dream life where I'm like, oh yeah, like I see myself waking up in the morning and getting my electrolytes, getting my coffee, and going outside. But if I lay in bed and I scroll on my phone because it's like, there it is, I'm going to scroll through my phone. Absolutely not. Why do I have to be entertained first thing when I wake up? I have also been like, I play these little games with myself where I'm like, all right, I don't have a phone and I'm waking up and I'm staring at my ceiling. I'm trying to remember what it felt like to wake up as a kid without an alarm clock, or maybe an electronic alarm clock that was separate from your cell phone. I don't know. Like, I know that the way I want to live is different than the way that I have been living. So I have to make some changes, disrupt the routine a little bit. And then I'm able to notice and experience things that I haven't before. So the other day, what day was this? Last week? I don't know. I was driving and, if you're like listening to something, you're kind of zoning out. I didn't have anything plugged in because I was going from one place to the next and it was like a very short distance. I didn't pull up a podcast, didn't pull up music. It was just quiet. And I was driving down the road, looking at the environment, looking at the things side by side. And I see this mama fox walking, prancing up the road. She looks like, because we've gotten so much rain, like she was obviously, I'm sure, looking for some food for her little babies. It is like baby fox season, right? I see this fox and I was like, how cool is it that I get to see this cute little fox walking down the street? Like, would I have been noticed that? Like, I was able to like grab my phone, take a pic, and I sent it to Garrett. But it was like, if I was so entertained, if I was so engrossed in a audiobook or a podcast or music, like, and totally zoned out, would I have seen it? Right? Like, or being outside, like first thing in the morning, seeing the sun come up, see the worms, like when I'm in my garden and like digging a hole. And there's so many things to experience and see, or laying in the grass. I was hosting a meetup a couple weeks ago and I have these Ask the Gals questions. And one of them is, what is something that you used to do as a kid that you haven't done in a very long time? And mine is laying in the grass, right? Like as a kid, you would sit in the grass, you would look up at the clouds, and that's it. You wouldn't have a podcast entertaining you. You would literally just be sitting there in the present moment, content, looking at the clouds. And that is something that I do try to incorporate into my life. Like I do try to go outside. I do try to sit in the grass. Like if I'm throwing the ball for Rowdy and it's like not muddy wet, I will sit in the grass and I'll be like, pretend you're a kid again. Let's get back in touch with that feeling. Let's get back to the way it was previously. And there's such a sense of peace around like sitting in the grass. But then I think about other things that I did as a child that I haven't done for a very long time, right? When you can think about those things and can implement it into your adulthood, like people want to just romanticize their childhood or romanticize when they were in high school or in college. They're like, oh, things were so much simpler back then. I didn't have any worries. I didn't have to worry about this. I didn't have to worry about that. Well, it's also like if you implement some of the things that you did as a kid, like you can have that as an adult as well. Where you woke up without an alarm clock. Okay, well, maybe when your alarm clock goes off, you get up each time, because when you get up each time, your internal clock, it starts to form. And then you wake up a couple minutes earlier before your alarm clock. And then it's part of your natural routine and you feel a lot better. Or maybe it was having breakfast at the kitchen table. When was the last time you sat down and had breakfast or cooked yourself breakfast? I know as a kid, like we always had breakfast before we ran out the door. That's something that I've had to implement because as an adult, when I was working at a corporate job where I had to leave my house in comparison to now, like I work from home, I was not eating anything. I would have my cup of coffee, maybe even that. Like I was ordering coffee. I was not making coffee at home. I was ordering coffee and that's what I had to have until 3:00, 2:00. And I'd go have a lunch. And the lunch was like fast food, or it was a little snack, or maybe it was another coffee and a muffin from the coffee shop, because that's where all my joy was, like at the coffee shop. So it's like, all right, like what can you implement from your childhood that will make you feel better and make you feel like you are living, right? Like, oh gosh, like to take a pause and just be like, I am alive right now. And there's so many opportunities and there are so many things that I can do and can accomplish if I would just stop being so entertained, be bored for a little bit, and work on the things that I actually want to do. So I definitely took a break from like social media and all the things this past weekend, just because Garrett and I were, together, and we weren't really, it was a vacation, but it still was a staycation. Like, it's not that far from our house. And we went to a couple dinners. We just kind of moseyed around. It was so wet outside, but it was just a good break because I love routine so much. Sometimes it's great to get away from your routine, and do something different. So then you can come back and you can see, oh, some of these parts aren't working for me anymore. Some of the things that I've been doing, I don't want to do anymore because I didn't do that on vacation. I didn't do that on the trip that I took. And so it gives you a completely different perspective, but also like not being so glued to your phone or glued to the internet or glued to the outside information. And yes, like it's a little nerve wracking. Like the past couple of weeks, I've been not turning on my GPS, like trying to drive somewhere without it telling me where I'm driving. I'm like, I've done this route so many times. Why, like, let's use my external visuals. Let's see. Oh, normally it's this road that I like turn on, like tennis. I've started to go to the same spot for tennis for the last 2 months now. And I'm working on my 3rd month. I'm like, oh, like I know this route. I know where I'm going, and I know an alternate route if there's traffic, because my class is at 7 p.m. Well, in February it was at 6. So I would have to leave at 5. And sometimes it would be rush hour traffic, everyone trying to go home. And here I am like trying to get somewhere. So alternative routes. And it's like now part of a new habit. Tennis, that's something I haven't done forever. Like I never did tennis. And let me tell you, I had the best compliment. Guys, the way this girl, first off, she was very good at tennis. Very, very, very good at tennis. And the way she was just stopping the balls. So I don't know that much terminology, but I don't even know the court. But there's 2 parts of the court, right? Like there's the back part of the court and the front part of the court. And when you either serve or get the ball back, like you serve the ball, it goes to that side and it's hit back. You want to like, oh gosh, I just spilled coffee. Great. Getting too excited about tennis. Anyways, I got to set this coffee down. I keep sipping it. It's so good, but I got to sip it. Anyways, so when the ball is like brought back, you're supposed to move up to like the first part of the court. And the way she was stopping these balls was absolutely crazy. Like the ball seemingly would go like so fast and she would knock it down, right? Like just a total powerhouse. And we're like, practice ended. And I was like, great work, so fun to play with you. And she's like, you're really good. How long have you played tennis? Or, I can see like you're starting to get it basically. I was like, oh, like February I started. And she's like, oh, wow. Like you're pretty athletic, aren't you? Guys, when I wanted to just like melt on the spot, I was like, you think I'm athletic? Thank you. That is not like a word ever associated with me during my childhood or adolescence. Like I was the person who was always wanting to be social. I wanted to go to the events. I wanted to have the friends. I wanted to like be part of everything that was going on, but I wasn't necessarily like good at anything. I didn't give myself the chance to. Like we were kind of busy as a family, like lots of kids. There's 5 kids in the household. And, softball was not something that I did because it was during the summertime. And I think it came from like a rooted fear of not being good at something, being bad, and being an embarrassment, or like people being like, oh, this girl's horrible, right? And sometimes that will stifle your urge to try. I also moved around a lot as a kid. So it's like I'm trying to make a good impression, always like on different people. So I never like wanted to like give it my effort, or I felt uncomfortable because I'm like they're gonna think I'm an imposter, or like I'm not good at this, and I just never gave myself the chance to try. So I played basketball like in middle school, didn't play in high school, to be honest. I was a cheerleader, which I did do competition cheerleading, but that's still like, that's not like hand-eye coordination. that's not like hitting a ball or like throwing a ball, right? I was a wrestling cheerleader, and I was a basketball cheerleader for 2 years. And then I was a football manager, and I did some track, and that's just running. Like, still, again, not hand-eye coordination, and I wasn't very fast. For her to say like she thought I was an athlete, I was like, there, again, a TikTok sound. It was like, I have all the things to be an athlete. Like, I'm an athlete, right? I was thinking, you know what? Like, that was one, so sweet of her. But also sometimes everything else is in your head where you're like, oh, I'm not this, I'm not that. But like, to the outside perspective, like, she thought I was athletic because I kept telling myself I was athletic. Like, I started brainwashing myself because when I showed up to tennis practice, I'm like, who said, like, why can't I be good at this? Like, who says that I'm not a tennis player? Like, so many people were brand new at tennis too. Like, we were all like learning. It was all a elite start class, and I was like, I'm just gonna learn. Like, I'm not gonna be bad. Like, I'm just going to try and improve every single day. That's a disruption in my habit, but also in my mindset. I told myself I was going to, like, there was no reason for me to be bad at it because I was just learning. So honestly, that was the nicest compliment I've ever been given, ever, because that's something that I want. Like, I would love to be athletic. I would love to be viewed in that way. And guess what? My forehand and backhand is improving. I am getting better every single day. And I'm starting to feel like a little bit more athletic. I wore a tennis skirt for the first time, guys. You know, I wore a tennis skirt in college for like a homecoming thing, but you know, not for real, not a tennis skirt like for tennis. And I went and I bought it. Old Navy was having a great sale. My friend Katie had recommended them. She was like, oh, you know, try them out. It's very cute, very cute. She was wearing this like lavender set. Oh, adorable. Anyways, I got black because you know me, keep it very neutral. And I wore my tennis skirt, and guess what? I didn't think, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I'm wearing a tennis skirt. They're going to think I'm a poser. I was like, no, I'm wearing a tennis skirt because I'm a tennis player. Definitely not Serena yet, but maybe I'll get there. So it's like having your mindset and like telling yourself that if you want it, you can have it. If you want to change your routine, if you want to have that creative aspect, if you want to try something new, you can. Like, you don't have to be held to your previous self. Like, if I would have told myself like, oh, you've never played a ball sport or volleyball, like all the girls were in volleyball. I was a football manager when they were all in volleyball or them running around. Like, I just have to tell myself like, work is good. Like, working your body, being active, like those are all good things. And I wish it was taught to me as a kid. Like, we were definitely active. We were outside all the time, but like honing a skill and being like good at tennis, or, you know, I trained in yoga, which this week, oh guys, I'm so excited. I'm actually teaching, all this week is my first week getting back into yoga teaching. I'll be teaching every single day this week. I'm a little nervous about my morning routine. I am super nervous. I've been sleeping in. Like, there's no reason to wake up super early. So I'm a little nervous, guys. But that's also a reason, like, I needed a new notebook, one for a journal and one for my yoga teacher. Like, because I'm doing my own sequences. So I'm a little nervous about that because I want them to work. I want them to have variety for the class. I just want to be good at it. So I'm teaching every single day. Monday through Friday in the morning, and on Tuesday I have 2 classes. So it's like a lot of material to get through. It's a lot of things to be teaching, to be learning. And there's no reason why I don't think that I can handle it, right? Like, I am athletic. After that, her name is Morgan. After Morgan said that, I was like, Morgan, thank you for saying that. Like, that's what I needed to hear. So then I could also like internalize it, even though I think you shouldn't get praise or what's the other one? I forgot. Criticism. Praise or criticism from other people should not determine your own like personal worth. So for me, I was like, thank you for the like praise, obviously. But I know like the internal work of like me telling myself I'm good enough is like, should be enough. But yeah, this week I'm getting back into the swing of yoga. And I told the gal who's starting the studio, it's like, listen, I'm going to do daily for now, but like I might have to cut down a little bit, or come this summer, I might be running around or doing the things, but it's like a new routine. I'm going to be getting up, and instead of having my slow mornings, which you guys know I love my slow morning where I wake up and I come to the kitchen, and I'm just reminding myself, like, I can have that when I'm 80. Okay. I need to get it together. I got goals to work on, and teaching yoga plays into those goals. So it's on the routine. It's doing all the things. And you know what? That's on evolution. You're able to pick and choose your life and what you want to do in your day to day. And even if you've done it for the longest time, or even if someone has told you you're not athletic, or you're not a morning person, or you have really bad style, those are all things that you can work on and improve, because this is your life. And you're able to make it the best that you want to make it. So thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast episode. If you liked it, please rate, review, subscribe, all the things. I'm going to go get to bed, do my evening routine so that I can be ready to teach yoga in the morning. It's not even like an early morning class. It's at 6, but it just means I got to get up and go, be there by 5:30. It's going to be rough. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.